present a research paper on the scholarship of business and management education. And the title of the presentation today is Enhancing Student Engagement Through Vygotskian Inquiry-Based Learning. I am Dr. Nguyen, and this project has been generally funded by the Innovative Education Fund. The structure for the presentation today has several parts. First, I'll talk about the context and challenges of the teaching of business and management in higher education in the UK. And I'll briefly outline the scholarship research, the theoretical understanding behind the intervention that we do here at King's Business School, how is it going, and some key takeaway and discussion points. Right, so the first start is the challenges that we face as educators and also researchers of business management in higher education. We've noticed that with the rise of using AI in learning and teaching, there has been a pervasive use of uncredited work or the lack of transparency in using AI when students submit the work. So plagiarism is one of those issues, and also that comes with cheating and other type of unethical behaviors that requires trainings and academic support for students to improve. We also noticed that there has been a lack of research opportunities for students to develop beyond the research assistantships. So most of the experience are industry or career oriented. And even though we are encouraged as educators to integrate research-led teaching, but little has been done on the research-led learning side for students at undergrads. We've also are motivated to promote student engagement with the classrooms. So that comes with integrity development, contributing the development of ethical behavior and academic integrity through providing more support. Then students will be encouraged to enhance with critical thinking and analytical skills. And of course, that will combine a set of training will stimulate academic growth and foster a deeper understanding of the subjects for the students. So with that sort of understanding of the challenges and the motivations behind the work, we conducted a scoping review on 43 institutions in the UK, and that involved 267 business and management programs. So we looked at how research is being taught and integrated throughout the student experience at the university. And we found some interesting findings here in terms of the requirements for dissertations. Only just barely more than half of the institutions require a mandatory element of writing a dissertation. So dissertation in the UK is understood as the substantial independent research project that students will undertake in their final year, and the finding shows only 54% of the institutions require students to do so. And the strongest discipline that require the dissertation is in marketing, about 73%, and that comes and follow up by economics, that's around 60%. And the weakest, I would say, the discipline that require the least of the dissertation is the finance and accounting, and also the human resource and management subjects, which is only account for 50% of the universities require. So that also highlights the disciplinary variations of how research is conceptualized and being taught across disciplines, and maybe the potential influence of professional bodies, association and accreditation for the students as well. Then we also looked at the implementation of student journals. So student journal are those platforms that can help students disseminate their research work or their written work. So only 9 students had formal and peer-reviewed student journals. And those institutions fall into the Russell groups category. So those are the more research-intensive institutions. And research and Russell Group's journals also had editorial mentorship. By contrast, and those post 92 universities offered a lot more informal and less regulated blogs and portfolios for the students' academic work. And finally, we also looked at the funded research schemes. We've noticed that 10 Russell Groups universities do offer some kind of undergraduate research paid schemes for students. And by a stark contrast, then none of the post 92 universities had such funded schemes for the students. So altogether, it highlighted and it points to a severe structural gap in accessibility for undergrad research opportunities for the students. And as educators, we try to come up with some intervention that tap into this access disparity. So we have a quick look into the scholarship literature, and we found this Vygotsky social cultural learning theory can provide us with a strong and relevant conceptual framework so that we can design our study upon the key theories over here. So according to Vygotsky, learning is socially mediated process. So learning can happen through students struggle with supported challenges. So students, if they want to move from the moving between the zones of learning, then there will be need for the role of more knowledgeable peers and the instructors. So students also need to perform as if scholars before they can become a full masters of the discipline. So these are the key concepts. The first pillar. The second pillar is the structural scaffolding. So we talk about different types of scaffolding for student learning, procedural, which means step-by-step guided students to make sense of the writing process, conceptual scaffolding, how to put together the paragraphs and how to make sense of the feedback they receive, strategic scaffolding, is about how students can develop some more elaborate skills, like how to overcome inertia in writing or how to deal with negative peer feedback. And most importantly and finally is metacognitive scaffolding. So that speaks to the ability to reflect on oneself learning journey and make sense of the becoming part of it. And next one is reflective dialogical practice. So learning also happens via peer critique, identity negotiation, and voice discovery. And that moves students from the passive reception of knowledge to a more active authorship or producers of knowledge. And finally, epistemic agency and identity development. Refers to the process in which students claim voice, confidence, legitimacy in the academic discourse. And this is also where all of the hidden academic practices are being made more visible and accessible. And especially it involves um, a holistic identity forming process. Then with that theoretical underpinning, um, we come up with this action research design that focus on constructivist theory, and we are acting as co-producers of knowledge together with our students. The approach is action research, which means we implement the intervention, then combine with the theorization of the process, and also responsive to students' needs and adapt to the changes if we see fit. The context of our action research is located in a diverse, multilingual high institution in the UK, and the student body is extremely diverse, with more than 80% coming from non-native speaker background, and they have limited research experience. So this is the intervention that I've been talking about in terms of the structure and the activities. So we started with an essay competition, which was launched in 2022, and it's been repeating annually since. We encourage students to submit a 2,000 word limit essays that focus on different sorts of contemporary issues in management, economics, and business subjects. We have AI, sustainability, and this year we're running a topic on trade tariffs. The essays competitions are competitively judged by our esteemed judge panel of Ph.D. students and also academics, and the prizes are also awarded according to different level of their seniority of their studies. Then we also design several academic skills workshops to gradually introduce students to the process of writing, conducting academic research. We also thought about integrating different topics that will be of benefit to the students. For example, how to implement an effective research design, how to integrate argumentation or academic structures of writing. So those are designed to support multilingual and early career research students. Then we also design a research career panel in which we invited different academics, professors, but also PhD students to talk about their own research experience. And these are aimed to foster aspirational thinking and more understanding about the world of academia or a career in research. After all of that, then we come to the final component of the intervention, which is a student-led journal. So we have different roles in which students can apply for and taken upon the leadership roles by themselves, editors, reviewers, curators of the theme issues. So those are all student-led. The activities are quite wide-ranging. So it's from public events to peer reviews, editorial debate, and we also offer mentorship from the faculty to help students build that epistemic agency and identity. And as we mentioned, the intervention is not just a one-off event, but it has been iterative design that has been running in cycle for 3 years now. So this is some of the illustrations. We started with a theme. So we think we thought about what would interest the students and what would be more inclusive and relevant to our institution. As you can see here, these are some of the posters from over the years, sustainability, automation, and this year is about tariffs, trade war, and the economy. Um, since we come up with a theme, then we also asked for, we're also looking for some funding and institutional support to help with the setup costs for the journal and also the the running costs for the competitions in terms of giving prize monies, for the referees compensation and other organizational costs. This is some of the setting up and promotion work as well. So we design the posters and spread out the work to enhance that visibility for the event. Um, these are some of the other pictures, photos from the activities. So we see that the panel research, giving talk to our students, and the end product of this whole process is the student-led journal um, that's called Perspectives. And these are the list of contributors. They are all run by student volunteers, and it's been in the running for 3 years now. So to evaluate the effectiveness of the intervention, we come up with some post-intervention student questionnaires and annual practitioner reflective report. So these are the themes that I've analyzed from the qualitative data that we got, and it can be divided into 4 main themes. The first one is scaffolded inquiry and learning support. Students have reported that they've always been interested in sustainability, but never thought they could contribute something academically meaningful. Or other students report that after one of the workshops, they left with a sense of direction, which they didn't have before. So those are evidence pointing out to intentional scaffolding that can enable students to move from the non-traditional background to actually access, author, and own the academic inquiry process. We've also seen students reported the effectiveness of using structured visual pedagogies to enhance their clarity in thinking and render those academic conventions more visible and navigatable for the students. Another theme that came up is in terms of epistemic identity and agency development. So epistemic identity formation moves students from the outsiders to the role of contributor of the knowledge production process. So some of the abstracts here pointing out, for example, I think that I never thought of myself as someone with a position before. The workshops helped me to find that. Or I never imagined that I'd be discussing peer review report with my professor. Those repeated and social reconnection and opportunities to make knowledge claims actually empower students to embrace their academic selves and transition them from just passive learners to now emerging scholars. Then the third theme of the report concerns the reflexivity and metacognition scaffolding. So critical reflexivity um, emerged most strongly in student accounts of learning to integrate assumptions and claims the intellectual space, and reflexivity is conceptualized as the immersion through social learning and a product of structured collaborative encounters. The final theme is to do with engagement in diverse and inclusive environments. Um, Inclusivity extends beyond formal curriculum. We found that unstructured time and relational spaces such as social lunch allow for deeply conversations about belonging, confidence, and cultural dissonance, and fostering that mutual recognition and lowering the barriers to participations for the students. So some of the excerpts here said that I appreciate how diverse the examples were as they showcase studies from all over the world and not just the UK context. Or offering lunch wasn't just a pedagogical strategy, but it became the in-between moments just impactful as the formal instruction. So, how to make sense of the findings then? We have the discussions where we um, interpret the findings through social cultural learning theory. We found that it's a powerful theory to explain the learning process, transformative power of the intervention, especially with regards to the role of structural scaffolding. It promotes epistemic justice for diverse learners. It also enables students to engage with reflexivity through conversations, through peer dialogue and critique. Um, and The whole process has been intentionally led by the theory. In terms of the practical implications, we propose that this intervention bridge the institutional gaps that we pointed out earlier. Many business schools limit the research to only the final year students, and it can seem a bit elitist and inaccessible for first year, second year, a bit of more early career students. Then we also, as a result, we're also calling for more practice and policy reform in terms of how extracurricular pathway can be restructured to avoid only capstone only approaches, and how we can design more scaffolding from early on to introduce students to the world of research and enhance their independent and critical thinking skills. So I'm going to leave it here in terms of some of the key um, about building the skills, but also transforming agency. Secondly, this can be done through scaffolding, inquiry-based learning that can engage students with meaningful research. And we offer such a solution through a design of a scaffolded action research project here in our context. Thank you for listening.